Psychiatric horror, a chilling story. Have you ever wondered what life is like inside the walls of one of the most infamous psychiatric hospitals in the world? Not just any hospital, but Broadmoor, an institution that houses some of the most dangerous men in the UK. For decades, it's been a place shrouded in secrecy, associated with high-profile criminals and frightening stories that make people shiver. But what's the reality of life inside Broadmoor? Are these men simply monsters, or are they something more complex, perhaps even tragic? For the first time in its history, Broadmoor has opened its doors to cameras, allowing the world a rare glimpse inside. The hospital's corridors, echoing with history, reveal not just tales of notorious crimes, but also deeply personal struggles, mental battles, and small, hard-won victories that are rarely seen outside these walls. Situated in the quiet village of Crowthorne, just 40 miles from London, Broadmoor was built in the Victorian era as an asylum for criminally insane men. Over time, it has housed notorious figures, such as Ronnie Kray and Peter Sutcliffe, men whose names have left an indelible mark on British history. Yet beyond the dark legends lies a more complicated institution, a hospital, not a prison, though it's often seen as one. Broadmoor's history stretches over 150 years, and its mission has shifted with time. It's now part of the National Health Service, NHS, treating those with severe mental health conditions who are deemed too dangerous to remain in general society. While it does contain violent criminals, many of its patients are there due to self-harm or minor offenses, or simply because society doesn't know where else to put them. These individuals aren't held behind bars for punishment, but are there in hopes of recovery. Most staff members at Broadmoor choose to keep their work secret, even from friends. There's a stigma attached to working there, and many prefer to simply say they work for the NHS, avoiding any further questions. Broadmoor's mysteries are so guarded that even within its walls, patients and staff live under strict rules, with details of patient identities and conditions kept confidential. Broadmoor houses about 200 patients, all classified as vulnerable adults. Entering its gates, you feel the strictness of its protocols. The walls are lined with security cameras, and staff perform meticulous checks. These measures aren't just for the safety of the patients, but for the safety of everyone inside. Alex, a 24-year-old patient who arrived 7 months ago, is one of the newer residents. He suffers from auditory hallucinations, often hearing voices that push him toward violence. He recounts how, during a simple activity of cutting a mango, he struggled with an intense urge to use the knife as a weapon, spurred by the voices in his head. To most of us, completing a fruit salad may seem trivial, but to Alex, finishing it without incident was a triumph, a sign of personal progress. In Broadmoor's intensive care ward, every interaction is carefully choreographed. Even opening a door requires a team of 6 staff members due to the unpredictable nature of the patients inside. Some of these men have attempted extreme acts of violence against others, and even small, seemingly harmless items can become weapons. Plastic spoons, CDs, and even fragments of everyday objects are closely monitored, as they can be used for self-harm or to injure others. The lives of these patients are punctuated by constant movement through Broadmoor's 15 wards. Patients' conditions fluctuate, and those who respond well to treatment are transferred to wards with fewer restrictions, where they gain access to structured activities and therapeutic support. Here, a man like Daniel, who spends his time creating intricate drawings, finds a therapeutic outlet for the emotions he struggles to express verbally. His portraits capture the shadows of a troubled mind, channeling his feelings of confinement and regret in ways words never could. It's tempting to see these men as beyond redemption. Society has already judged them harshly for their actions, and Broadmoor is often seen as a place where monsters are locked away forever. But speaking with the patients reveals their humanity and their pain. Many of these men have been victims themselves, scarred by childhood trauma, abuse, and neglect. They are both perpetrators and products of the cruelty that shaped their lives. One patient, Lenny, opens up about his struggles. He reflects on the complex legal battles he's faced, feeling trapped in a system that, in his view, keeps him hidden rather than truly rehabilitated. His frustration mirrors a central conflict in Broadmoor, the tension between treatment and confinement. He resents being medicated as he believes it dampens his chances of winning a case he perceives himself as having against the hospital. Yet the harsh reality is that Lenny is not currently involved in any legal proceedings. His mind, clouded by paranoia and delusions, creates a narrative that feels real to him. Broadmoor operates almost like a self-contained village, with patients taking on jobs, going to classes, and even having a weekly shopping day. This sense of routine is designed to help them regain a semblance of normalcy. However, the privileges of these routines come with challenges. Many patients suffer from severe side effects of medications, including increased appetite and weight gain, which only adds to their frustration and isolation. Security measures are in place to ensure that no item, no matter how ordinary, becomes a potential weapon. Every move is watched, every utensil counted. The meticulous level of control inside Broadmoor is constant, a reminder that the smallest lapse could lead to tragedy. Each patient's therapy is tailored to their unique challenges. Violence, substance abuse, arson, or other criminal behavior all require different treatment approaches. Dr. Estelle Moore, a psychologist who has worked at Broadmoor for over 20 years, believes that recovery, even for the most troubled patients, is possible. She's seen men evolve from violent, unpredictable individuals into calmer, more self-aware people. Therapy helps them process their emotions, making it possible for them to navigate relationships with less fear and hostility. Yet, Broadmoor's approach to forced medication remains controversial. For many patients, including Lenny, the idea of medication feels like a betrayal. In his mind, the injections aren't meant to help, but to silence him. His paranoia, compounded by years of institutionalization, makes it nearly impossible for him to trust the very people trying to aid in his recovery. After 8 months, Alex is finally moved to a rehabilitation ward. This new environment offers him more freedom, but also brings new risks. The staff keep a close watch, understanding that increased freedom can sometimes trigger self-harming behaviors. Despite this constant risk, Alex feels hope. He sees this change as progress, a chance to reclaim parts of himself that have been overshadowed by mental illness. However, setbacks are inevitable. Just weeks after his move, Alex's mental state deteriorates, leading him back to a high-dependency ward. The journey is a reminder of how fragile the line between recovery and regression can be in a place like Broadmoor. For many, progress isn't a straight line. It's filled with victories and losses, big and small. In Broadmoor, violence is a part of daily life. Staff members face physical assaults, from kicks and punches to attempts with makeshift weapons. Yet they continue to work here, driven by a sense of duty and hope. Many have stories of seeing patients grow and change over time, however incrementally. These successes, however rare, are the reasons they stay. On average, there are 5 incidents of violence against staff every week. The procedures to handle these incidents are rigorous, ensuring that all parties are safe. Staff members enter risky situations, knowing that even a single lapse in vigilance could endanger their lives. Patients often sense weakness, and some wait for the right moment to test the system. Despite their conditions, they are keen observers, and they know when the staff is stretched thin or vulnerable. Despite its severe environment, Broadmoor holds glimpses of redemption. The patients who manage to control their impulses, those who engage in art or other forms of therapy, remind everyone of the humanity that exists within these walls. As Daniel says, the act of drawing gives him a way to express complex emotions, anger, guilt, sadness, that he struggles to communicate otherwise. Art becomes a lifeline, a way for him to connect with parts of himself that might otherwise be unreachable. And it's these connections, these fragments of humanity, that keep hope alive within Broadmoor. Though many of these men may never leave, their lives aren't stagnant. Through therapy, structure, and support, they find ways to build something meaningful, no matter how confined they are by their pasts. Broadmoor remains a place of mystery and fear to those on the outside, yet to those inside, it's a place of complex, often painful, transformation. The patients here aren't just statistics or horror stories. They're individuals caught in a system that balances safety and rehabilitation with a constant tension. Their lives reveal a hard truth about mental illness and the thin line between victim and perpetrator, between healing and harm. The world may never fully understand the stories within Broadmoor, but in glimpsing them, perhaps we're reminded of the fragile nature of humanity itself. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like, and checking out our other videos for more content like this. With that said, thanks and unteam.